Witchers, welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I am here again with my wonderful co-host, the Toaster. Toasty, how you doing, buddy?
I'm here.
He's having a wonderful day as usual. Toasty, I'm excited because this is our end of January patron episode. So it's not just you and me by ourselves talking about Witcher stuff. We have some guests, and it's not just you and me and Ben of Temeria talking, the three of us this time either, because we have some other guests as well. Are you excited about that?
I'm never excited.
You're just a cold, steel-hearted individual. But we as we discussed on the previous episode, there's a teddy bear inside there somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there is.
I got a contract on that teddy bear and I slew it. So
yeah, whatever. All right. So, but with us today to discuss the monsters of the Witcher Netflix series and which ones we would want to hunt down and which ones we definitely wouldn't want to hunt down. Returning, our original patron, our original Leshen level patron, Ben of Temeria. Ben, welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing pretty good.
Pretty good. As usual.
Oh, yeah. As usual.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Good to see you again. Welcome back to the show. I see that you're prepared again with your swords.
I'm always prepared. I have them, on me 24/7.
Yeah.
I always have a contract. So
always on the path.
Getting paid.
Yeah. Good to hear, man. Also, we have with us this week Crow of Valen, or Valen. I don't know the best way to pronounce that. How do you pronounce it?
I've always pronounced it Velen.
Velen?
It's Velen.
Velen?
It's for the game, Tom.
I know, but I feel like it depends on your accent, right? Velen. I don't know. It's an E followed by an L followed by another E. But how you, Crow? I'll just call you Crow. How's it going?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, actually.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to hear some of your input about monsters and stuff. We've been chatting a little bit about it on the Discord ahead of time, and then we also have Mage Mama. So this is fun. Mage Mama. We've got Crow of Valen. Would you consider yourself more of a Witcher?
Oh, absolutely.
So you're a Witcher. We've got Ben. He's a Witcher. Mage Mama, are you more of a mage? I mean, it sounds like it from your name.
Absolutely. I like fighting with strategy and lighting things on fire, I guess.
Sweet. So we've got a nice party set up here. Some Witchers.
You're trying to say us Witchers don't fight with strategy? I feel like we
fire.
Fight with more strategy.
Political strategy, I guess.
I mean, this sounds like a wonderful kind of conversation that would normally happen between mages and Witchers. Okay.
This is the topic. We're going to...
This is off to an awesome start.
Now, no.
This is great.
I'd rather fight with swords and pins. I don't like the
Oh,
damn.
Fine. I'm good standing alone with that. I'm good with it.
I mean,
it's fine, Crow. We need someone to make our mutagens for us, okay?
Right. She also doesn't even need a sword to kill somebody. So there's that.
Well, I mean, Witchers don't always either.
That's true as well. Okay, but the point of this episode is not to debate mages versus Witchers. The point of this episode is to talk about some of the monsters that we've seen in the Netflix show, in the series from season 1 and season 2. And I want to get your takes on this. If you were having to deal with the monsters, whether you're a Witcher or a mage, if you had to go take out one of these monsters, if you were on a quest, if you were dealing with one of these, which ones, let's start with which ones, I know the world of The Witcher, I know living in the continent is a harsh reality, and most of us probably wouldn't want to actually be there 24/7. That like this life that we're living now seems very comfortable compared to having to live in that world, because most of us would probably just be some poor farmer and we'd get trounced on by like a drowner or something and we'd die, right? Like chances are that would be the life we have. And if we lived as a Witcher, that's a rough life. Putting all that aside, if you were in the situation where you got to be like, all of a sudden you're whisked away to that world and you found yourself in the body of an extremely capable individual, a witcher, a mage, somebody, and all of a sudden you have all the knowledge, all the skills, all of that at your disposal, and you got the opportunity to just take on a monster of your choosing, to just test your mettle. From the ones on the show that we've seen, which one would you say, okay, I want to take that one. I want to take that one on. Who would like to start? Does anybody have a favorite that you want to go with? Mage Mama, you want to start us off?
Okay, so if you're talking about facing a monster where I really want to test my mettle, that's the question here, right?
Yes, that one looks pretty awesome. I think I could take it out, and it would be really, really a cool fight.
Oh, I think I could take it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different question than what I thought the original question was. I had a really good answer.
Okay, well, how would you frame it? Like, what were you thinking? Let's just go with what you were thinking.
Okay, so I from the show, I would say the Bruxa is probably the one that terrified me the most. Just that getting stabbed with the big post and then twisting around like it's the Grudge. Yeesh. Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah. And the what about like the glitchy movement?
Deeply unnerving. And
the odd conversation thing. Okay. So in this situation, do you think that she would present herself as not a monster at first? I think probably. And
absolutely. I mean, I think we sort of saw that in the storyline, which was definitely cool. It was like, oh, I'm not a threat. Not a threat. Oh, definitely a threat.
Right. Like, I'm just kind of having a awkward conversation with you. And then the hairs on the back of your neck stand up like, oh boy. So what would you do in that situation? Like, let's say you come across a Bruxa in the wild and you start to get a sense that like, okay, something's wrong here. What do you do? So one of the things I really love about how Geralt handles things, right, is, and you talked about this on the show before, he kind of goes into detective mode, right, where he asks questions. And I have to admit, I was like, that particular episode, I thought it was really sad, that this is Nibelun's like only company in this curse, and even though the Bruxa is like terrifying and yeesh, that they still sort of ended up taking her out, right? Yeah. So I would like to think that I would have a conversation first. Okay.
But then again, with all that like weird glitchy movement and deeply unnerving behavior, fire, kill it, dead.
Burn it with fire.
Yes. Kill it with fire.
Crow, you want to chime in here?
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to give my thoughts because that's something that made, for me at least, the Bruxa fight a bit more tragic because she was freaky, but she did have that like sense of intelligence, and that's kind of Geralt's whole thing, and they're really hammering on it in the show is that he doesn't try and kill intelligent monsters.
Right.
And I know she was losing control and like killing people, but it seemed a little weird to me that he just went for it instead of like somewhat trying to talk, like at least a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see this in the games too. We see this, in fact, sometimes in the games, you're even given the freedom to make a choice between like, do you just take the monster out? Do you make a moral decision of some sort and allow it to live? The counterpoint to that, I guess, would be that he's already seen the results of what happens when she is given the freedom and tries to live in an agreement where she is given everything she needs. She had the sustenance of what's his face? Tosi, what was his name? Starts
Nevelin.
Starts with an N. Yeah, Nevelin. So she had all the sustenance she needed, but she still couldn't keep herself in check.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe in that moment he had the proof he needed that she had been given the chance, she failed, and given another chance, she wasn't going to be able to control herself. And so she presented herself in that way as ultimately a monster through and through based on her actions.
It's kind of funny that like bringing up the games and having the choice a lot of times whether you can kill the more intelligent monsters. It makes me think of there's like some little side quest. It's a little earlier on in the game. I actually just stumbled across it. I can't even remember the name of the quest, but it's like some people are praying or begging to this little statue of like their god or whatever, and they're really like terrified and they're starving because they don't have enough food for the statue or like blessings or whatever.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, you go down into the cavern underneath and it turns out to be a Sylvan. So I remember whenever I first came across it, I was, I knew right away it was something like that. But I went down, was talking with the Sylvan, and then I ended up convincing him to like just take the bare minimum. And then as soon as I got done with the conversation, I was like, dang, I actually kind of wanted to kill him. He was kind of a jerk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an interesting kind of balance. Ben, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the games and even seeing it in the show, Geralt is, you see him like he has respect for intelligent monsters that don't pose a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that Brooks that we see in episode 1 of season 2 is a threat. If there was a way where he could have talked to her and had a peaceful resolution, he would have done it.
Right.
But,
right.
Even seeing that in the games, I mean, rock trolls typically tend to be mostly harmless, if not at all dangerous. And then there's some like Blood and Wine. There's a bunch of vampires in there, including Brooks's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like that entire quest line in the games where depending, like you get confronted by, I think, a werewolf who basically wants to kill you, but you can convince him that that you actually like don't hurt monsters that don't deserve to be hurt if you've like done enough of those quests and chosen like the peaceful option for them.
Yeah, it was the free DLC quest they did on Skeleton. I think it was like Skeleton's Most Wanted, I think is what the quest was called.
So like you almost get jumped by like a bunch, because I think it's more than just him, but he's like challenging you kind of, and it's like but it's killed.
A werewolf, rock troll, a Doppler, and a oh god, it starts with the Godling? No, something like that. It's whatever the kid from the swamp is. I can't remember his name.
Godling.
It's a Godling.
Godling. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things about Geralt is that he's lived long enough to realize that intelligent monsters and humans and elves and anything else that's intelligent all have some semblance of free will. And he's seen the dangers that humans and elves and those kinds of people can pose, the threats that they pose, the damage that they can do through their actions. And when he compares those actions, the actions of terrible men or women or whoever to terrible monsters, or the neutrality of just people living their lives to monsters just living their lives that aren't hurting anyone. Like, I think he's logical enough of an individual to go, there really isn't that much of a difference. Regardless of your biological status, it's your actions that determine if you're a monster or not, right? And that's the thing that he's realized, which is funny because, I mean, I like to tie a lot of these things into real world things, but one of the things that we as humans, oftentimes when you're dealing with people who hold grudges against people from other cultures or races or those kinds of things, they don't take the time to stop and think about like the people that they know who are like themselves and from their own cultures and the terrible things the people that they know do, like they will blindly say, oh, those people over there are terrible because they do these bad things. And so they're less than human. But then they ignore the things that the people who look like them do that are terrible. And if they were actually to count up all of those terrible things that they know people who like them do, chances are they probably know more people like them that do terrible things than people who are different than them that do terrible things. And that's one of the things that Geralt walks around saying most of the time, is that like the humans he knows seem to be doing more terrible things than many of the monsters he comes across, or at least the intelligent ones on occasion, you know, like, so that balance is really kind of interesting. And he's been around long enough to realize that like sometimes the monsters actually do control themselves and sometimes the humans don't, which is an interesting point.
We're looking at you, Stregobor.
Right, exactly. I mean, look at some of the political leaders and the powerful mages in the world, and even just the commoners who just like can't deal with somebody just looking different than them when he walks into town. I mean, there's a lot of people in the world who just do terrible things all the time, and he has to deal with that all the time.
So long story short, everybody sucks. You get a sword.
Right. Well, everybody has the potential to suck, but everybody has the potential to do good as well. So you should wait on your judgment. I think that's ultimately the lesson here, is that don't judge like until you see somebody's actions. You know, don't prejudge. Or hey, get this, don't have prejudices. Amazing. Amazing. Right. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm putting it back in the corner. So that's the Bruxa mage mama. That's who you would go up against, and you would try to talk her down. That would be your attempt.
That would be my first thing, but you know, I guess sometimes Bruxas just are a little too hungry. They just get too hangry and they cannot be reasoned with. Not unlike my 4-year-old. Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, hey.
Angry.
Angry. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Well, okay. Yeah. And then, well, I can't imagine that fight would be easy once you have to deal with it.
I mean, that I have to say that was like probably one of the most disturbing fight scenes I've seen. You know, I've witnessed plenty of horror movies, and I was still, oh my gosh, that whole scene with the Bruxa was pretty unnerving. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say that like a Doppler would also be a pretty, I think that would be a monster that, I don't know, are they considered monsters? Dopplers?
They are.
I mean, they are, right?
Yeah, they're a non, I mean, they're not human or elf or dwarf or gnome. Like they're not of the regular races of the world.
I think they're pretty threatening too.
That's something that kind of confused me about the way that they depicted Dopplers in the show. Was I thought, I mean, even though they are considered monsters, it's not due to their action, it's just due to their genetic makeup. But I thought that Dopplers were supposed to be like good by nature, like good-hearted and stuff.
Nope.
Ben's like, nope.
Nope.
Okay.
No, there's a story that the story in the books with Dudu. There was I think there was another, if I recall, I think Toasty, you can help me on this. Wasn't there another Doppler in that story that was trying to frame Dudu? Or am I thinking of something completely different?
So that story,
is this from the second book?
This is from the book. I think, yeah.
This is Sword of Destiny. I think it's from. It's one of the short stories.
The second book.
Yes.
That story is that the Doppler was posing as Dainty Beavervelt, who was a different gnome, like merchant farmer kind of guy, and basically took all of his money and invested it in a bunch of junk that ended up actually like working out. Mm-hmm. And he made an absolute fortune for Dainty. I don't think there was the bad guy in that was the priest that was trying to like, it wasn't really the priest. There was another Doppler that was like posing. But yeah, so it was kind of like, there wasn't really you seemed like the bad guy at first, but then ended up turning out to be like just an absolute legend. So
the crypto of the continent. That's what he invested in.
Uh-huh.
Basically, he invested in like rancid fish oil, string, some fancy nuts or something.
That's right.
Like it was a bunch of random crap,
items. Yeah.
And it ended up like being a huge demand in a bunch of different places. And he made like 10 times the amount that he invested in it.
Okay, so maybe the NFTs of the continent then.
Yeah, maybe so. Right. So, okay, so Ben, who would you end up fighting? And I think we've got Bane. Bane is joining us. Here we go. Hey, Bane. Bane is connecting to the audio. Bane, can you hear us? Bane?
I got you.
Hey, man, welcome.
I thought that name was an Assassin's Creed reference. I think I might be right.
So we're in the middle of talking about which monsters from the Netflix series we would, if we were whisked away magically into the world of the Witcher, onto the continent, and we were given the abilities of a Witcher or a Mage, somebody who could take on a monster. All the knowledge, all the abilities, all 100% capable, and we had to go out on some sort of mission to take on a monster. Which one would be the one that we wanted to just take on? Because we felt like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. We could take that one. Mm-hmm. So Ben, let's go to you. What monster would you feel like you could, or which would be exciting to be like, oh, from the TV show specifically, from the ones we've seen on
the show
and the versions that we've seen on the show?
I honestly, I don't know if this is anybody else's favorite. I want to fight a basilisk.
The basilisk on the show?
Those things look awesome.
The crazy ones at the end of season 2?
Yes. Those ones. I would actually want to try and fight one of those.
Like the one that Geralt yeeted off the bridge?
Yes.
So you're going to go God mode, Geralt, just throw it off the bridge.
But Geralt's of a different sort.
Yes.
He's more of a Witcher than the standard Witcher. So
that's not God mode. That's just Geralt.
That's easy mode for him. He's level 50 already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to try and take down a basilisk for sure.
Oh God!
The how they took on that monster from what we know from the games is by far way different. And honestly, I feel like they would be more terrifying than a giant flying lizard chicken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like fighting a dinosaur.
Yeah, with giant freaking snake fangs.
Yeah. Have you guys been to a museum or in the middle of Florida, we have a dinosaur park where they've erected, it's for like little kids, but they've erected these big plaster dinosaurs that are like life-sized. And you walk around, like you take your 4-year-old or whoever, like Mage Mama has a 4-year-old. And like when my kids were little, we could take them to the park and we'd walk around and you see like plaster dinosaurs, and it's just a park outside in the trees and all those kinds of things. But the dinosaurs are life-sized, and it gives you a sense of like what it must have been like back in the time of dinosaurs with like life-size dinosaurs walking around. And some of them are freaking huge. And like, I just can't imagine dealing with an animal like that's trying to eat you when you could fit in its mouth. Not like, I live in Florida. We have alligators. If an average sized alligator is maybe 6 to 8 feet long. When I was in college, worked at a summer camp one year, and the summer camp was on, at that time, the lake with the most densely populated lake of alligators in the entire world. That was like its claim to fame. And some of the alligators, the front of the dock at this camp was 12 feet across. And I stood at the front of that dock and I saw alligators swim across the front of that dock that were longer than the front of the dock. So like 13, 14 foot long alligators in this lake. Even a 14 foot long alligator couldn't fit my whole body in its mouth, right? It could maybe, eat half of my body.
It could after a couple bites.
After a few bites, it could like swallow me. But like, we're talking basilisks. Like, one of those basilisks on their show could just like, like just swallow you. Like, a tooth from one of those things is the length of your arm. Like, that's freaking scary, Ben.
Hey, I had to prove myself somehow.
Yeah.
Plus, they're venomous, so you have to, watch out about that too.
Yeah, dude. That's a lot. All right, who else thinks they would want to take on a basilisk?
The one that I would least not want to fight, or would want to fight the least.
You want to fight them the least. Okay, so Crow says fight them the least. Bane raised his hand. Bane?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd totally take on a basilisk because, again, it's a non-sentient. It's more of an animalistic nature, so it has a pretty much straightforward sense of attack. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of sometimes gauge how it's going to react based off its body language and stuff like that. So for me, I think it would be the easiest to go against as opposed to some of the other stuff that were more, more magical, wielding, more
intelligent.
Yeah. The stuff like that.
Yeah, something that can play tricks on you rather than something that works more like an animal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. I can see that. Okay. It's still freaking huge, though. Like, it's still big.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And that's something you gotta kind of contend with. It's bigger. It's got a more serpentine neck. It can fly. So those are all variables to consider. However, with that predatory sense, it's something that you've kind of already encountered in the wild and stuff like that. So I would personally rather go against something, say, a Chernobog, a Wraith, something with a little more variation to how it does things.
I gotcha. Mage Mama, what do you think? Basilisk?
Honestly, you talking about those crocodiles? I'm not afraid of a lot of things, like creepy crawlies or whatever. Mm-hmm. Crocodiles, absolutely, in real life, terrify me.
Yeah, well, these were alligators, so they're not as aggressive as crocodiles, but still big.
Yeah, still a hard pass for me.
Yeah. Okay.
So the basilisk is, and I had forgotten about the venom, so that still is yeesh. That's a yeesh for me. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I think as far as like something I would want to go up against. I mean, the Striga didn't seem like that was a long battle, but it didn't seem that bad.
Well, you liked the Striga because it was intelligent, because you felt like you could rationalize with it. Whereas Bane is saying that seems more threatening because
Bruxa?
The Bruxa, not the Striga. Yeah. Well, both of them are somewhat intelligent, but the Bruxa, because it's it would be able to play you, basically, because it's smart. And that would be more threatening. So both are interesting takes. I guess they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I guess, my preference would be to I would take the contract for the one that's the Bruxa, not the Basilisk for me. Cause they're huge. You made the good point. It's like a dinosaur.
Yeah. Man, that's rough stuff. Ben, good luck. I'm going to let you take that on. I got
your back, Ben. Don't worry.
Yeah, there we go.
Oof.
Have Tosi's help.
That's some
2
rough
against
stuff.
1. You got this.
Oh man, it makes me think about like back in the day, back in tribal times when you had, say, the original Native Americans moving into North America or South America, when you had like giant animals around, like mammoths and stuff, right? And this idea of like a community deciding, oh, we're going to take out that mammoth because it's going to feed us for like an entire winter, right? Because humans did that kind of crap, but like mammoths are freaking huge. And it probably took like, I don't know, a dozen people to take one of those things down. And they must have been really smart about the way they did it. But that's very, very dangerous. Man, just taking on big, giant animals. Ugh, I'm sure it's dangerous, but I'm sure if you do it smart, there's ways of handling it. That's the best weapon a human has is your brain. So, really cool stuff. All right. Well, we've got. This has been an awesome conversation. We're about halfway through the show, so we're going to take a break because we've got to thank our patrons. We've got to read out this awesome review that came in, and then we've got to talk with Crow and Bane about the monsters that they want to fight. So we'll be back in just a second.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. This is where we get to thank these guys right here, our patrons. Thank you for supporting the show. And genuinely, Toasty and I very much appreciate this. This helps us make this a priority. It helps us do the show. It helps pay for getting the things that we need in order to make the show a thing. It also makes this this is a part-time thing for Toasty on the side, and this helps make this a full-time thing for me because I am a full-time content creator. So this helps actually make this a real job for me. So very, very much thank you. If you're interested in supporting the show, if we've done anything to help you get through your workday, your work week, your commute to work, or fighting a basilisk, because holy crap, I don't know how you listen to podcasts while doing that, Ben, but if that's what you do, like Ben does, then go to patreon.com/Witcher Lorecast. Check out all the different tiers. You can get ad-free episodes. You can join us on a future episode of the show, just like this one. And you can be like any of the 13 patrons we currently have. We don't have any new patrons to call out this week, but if you do sign up, we'll call you out on a future episode of the show. Also, real quick, we've got a new, actually two new reviews that have come in recently. This one is from Shut Up Joker in the United States, who writes, great source of info. When I get interested in a new subject, I find myself scouring the internet trying to find out everything about it that I can. As a watcher of the Netflix series and player of the third game, compounded with my pathological need to scour the wiki, I thought that I was knowledgeable enough, but I love to put the podcast on while I'm working and listening to the hosts geek out over the real world applications of lore and other little tidbits that I thought I was the only one that cared about. Slowly working my way through the episodes. I hope to catch up soon. So thank you, Shut Up Joker. Appreciate that review. And then we also have one from Sean John 268 in the US, who writes, my wife thinks I'm a genius. I love this. 5 stars, Tom Robots and Toasty, toast, etc., with all the different variations of spelling, have made such a great show to help me better understand the vast world of the Witcher book series and games. I recently got my wife into the Netflix series and used this show as my companion piece to help answer any questions she had. Originally, she thought it was all my own knowledge until she heard me laughing at something I was listening to and looked at what it was. Needless to say, I have to give credit to where it's due, and these gentlemen deserve every bit of it. P.S. The community they've created has allowed me to connect with others and even ask Toasty some of my own questions that he is gracious enough to answer. You really get the whole package here. Oh, Sean John, thank you so much. That's awesome, and I'm glad that you've joined us on the Discord and chatted with us and things. So that's amazing. So thank you
to you for putting the stupid convoluted spelling of Toasty as your primary one.
Yes,
because I saw that review and they did the TEAUX one.
Yes, the one that you use on the Discord. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. Also, hi to your wife. That's awesome that you were just like spouting off like info and she was like, wow, how do you know so much? And then finally she was like, oh, you've been listening to a podcast about it. That's awesome. But thank you for taking the time to drop these reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you do so and leave a 5-star rating, we'll read these out on a future episode. Also, if you're currently listening to this on Spotify, then just take a moment, go to the screen where you can see all the episodes and go to the top and you'll be able to leave a 5-star rating on there. Once we hit 250 ratings on there, Toasty is going to dye his hair white, and look just like Geralt of Rivia or some strange old man. I still haven't figured out if you're going to dye your facial hair, just trim it off.
I think I just said that I was going to trim it off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is going to look weird.
We'll see what happens.
This is going to look so weird.
I'm just going to look like some decrepit old guy.
It's gonna look.
Let me just draw some like.
What if you do this and then all of a sudden you just look like Henry Cavill and we're just like, oh my God, Toasty, you're so handsome.
Bulk out to like 3 times my size,
or just your face. All of a sudden your face just looks like Henry Cavill's face, and we're just like, how? God. We didn't even know. Why haven't you been doing this all along?
That might cure my depression if I end up looking like Henry Cavill at the end of this. I don't know.
Well, thank you to everybody who leaves ratings and reviews, and everybody who signs up on the Patreon. You guys are awesome, and maybe that'll help cure your depression as well. On that sad note, let's move on with the rest of the show.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
All right, we're back. Let's talk with Crow. Crow, it's your turn, buddy. Let's talk monsters. There have been a number of monsters on the show, both seasons. Who do you think you could take, or who would you enjoy going up against?
So I would love to go up against a Leshy.
The Leshy? The one that we saw just get like destroyed, that we didn't actually get to see a fight with?
Yeah, because
not the Eskel Leshy.
Yeah, no, well, the Leshkel.
The Leshkel. Right.
But yeah, no, because from looking at it, it seems like its main body's like mostly rooted to the ground, and like you just got to worry about the binds. But I feel like, especially with the agility of a Witcher and everything, it wouldn't be, not to discredit Eskel, but it wouldn't be that difficult to like jump off a tree and stab it through the heart.
So you would be like a glorified lumberjack.
A little bit, yeah.
a little bit. I mean, the design of it was really cool looking for the 10 frames that we got to see it before it was destroyed. Yeah, and Leshens are very cool. I mean, we did that whole episode about the Leshens. But here's the other thing, though, is that according to the lore, they can change the way they look, and they can control other things in the forest. So there's no guarantee that whole root vine thing is going to be the only thing you're going up against, or that you're even going to necessarily notice it right away. So true. It could be, but, I mean, it could always be a little more dangerous than you think.
Also true, but that's what makes it more rewarding whenever I take its hand or its head back to the keep.
Yeah, yeah. You think you'll use that whole, like, turning the sword on, like, making the sword heat up thing?
Oh, I thought that was awesome.
That was pretty cool.
I would try to.
Yeah, yeah. Mage Mama wanted to chime in.
Can't the Leshen, though, like, get all the rest of the wildlife on its side? Mm-hmm. So, like, that may not be like a one-on-one fight, dude. Like, that might be like a one-on-many fight. You could have, like, there's just squirrels coming at you.
Yeah, dude. Who wants to fight a bunch of squirrels? Or worse would be like, owls dive bombing you and wolves chasing you and things like that.
I don't know why, but I just got the image of Gene Kelly kicking the puddles around from Singing in the Rain whenever I was thinking of the squirrels trying to run at me. Just kicking squirrels.
Yeah. So every so often, these kinds of questions crop up in social situations, which are both hilarious, but then also really infuriate people who love animals. How many squirrels do you think you could fight before you would lose? Like,
it depends on how coordinated the squirrels are.
Okay, like if a mass of squirrels.
Is it like, yeah, so
like a Leshen
questions.
A Leshen, just you're surrounded by trees, and a Leshen just uses its powers to summon all the squirrels out of the trees, and they all just come at you from all sides at the same time. At what number of squirrels is the maximum number of squirrels that you could fight off with your bare hands? Let's say you've lost your swords, you can't use any signs.
Oh, dang.
And you're just you. In this scenario, you're just you. How many squirrels could you fight off? What's the max number of squirrels you could fight off and still live?
Realistically, I'm going to say somewhere from like maybe 10 or 12. So if they're all coming at you, I feel like they're going to get you down pretty quick.
Squirrels are pretty wily. They're fast.
Yeah, so I'm going to say like a solid 10 probably.
Solid 10, okay. Now, if you're a Witcher, that number's going to be way higher.
Oh, yeah. They all jump down on me from the trees, just use Irden and then use Igni, and fry him up.
Yeah. Oh, and then Rob has, of course, then there's, yes, Rob, thank you for this question as well. Would you rather fight 100 squirrel-sized horses or one horse-sized squirrel?
Unhorsed squirrel.
Either way, I don't care. I'm gonna absolutely murder either of those things. It's
A bunch of tiny little horses. The thing is that squirrels can run and jump, and they've got claws, and like little tiny horses could barely do anything.
I was like, a horse has a big enough problem with it. Like, you break a horse's leg, it's done.
Yeah,
and
right.
They don't exactly have the strongest legs.
Right.
So.
A giant squirrel, though, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, but it's just like a horse-sized squirrel. I mean, depending on the type of horse, it could range in size.
Yeah, but
I guess if you're Tom or Mage Mama who have like megalophobia for animals.
Megalophobia. Dude, you've never fought a big giant animal before.
That's a legitimate thing.
I've never fought a big giant animal before either. All right. So Leshy's where you what do the rest of you guys think? Leshy, who wants to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, Leshy wouldn't be. I mean, if you're a Witcher, I would imagine Leshy wouldn't be as difficult. I mean, you do have an advantage since they are made of magic and use chaos. You will get a sense of them right when they're either about to attack or near you. So you do have an advantage to that, so you won't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, but there is the thing to where, yeah, they can shapeshift, they can call upon nature itself, turn into bats or, ravens. Just set everything on fire.
Do all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Bane? What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd want to fight the Leshy. It also depends on whether or not I'm able to have someone else with me, because it's already shown that it's kind of weak from the back when that centipede ram critter showed up.
That's true.
So, and all you need is, a big old bottle of Roundup, and you probably got a pretty significant advantage. So I would definitely want to fight the Leshy. If I was by myself, yeah, I'd probably be a little more cautious. But if I got a group of us, let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is Roundup one of the official Witcher potions, by the way?
There's got to be a Witcher equivalent, right?
Wait, what'd you say?
Roundup.
Oh.
I think it falls under Cursed One oil.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. Okay.
Mage Mama, do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. After thinking about Roundup, that's all I can think about.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to Bane. Bane, what do you think? You want to take on a critter from the TV show specifically, the versions from the TV show?
Versions from the TV show. If I were to take on, if I was like, hey, I'm gonna take on a beast, I'm gonna have to go with the basilisk, because again, it's kind of got that animal instinct, and that's something that's a bit more predictable. Mm-hmm. So I could definitely prepare for that. It's reptilian. You talked about the alligators in Florida. Lo and behold, we got those down here too. So I've seen them in action. So yeah. I kind of know how they're going to react. If I get close, they're going to go this way. If I get far, they'll retreat. So with that more animalistic instinct, I can better prepare for that.
Right. Okay.
So.
Yeah, and we've talked a good bit about that one. So okay, so the next piece of this, I want to know, and we don't have to go as long on this because we're getting close to the end of the show, but I want to know which monster you absolutely would just nope out on. Is there a monster that you would just be like somebody comes to you with a contract and they're like, hey, this thing's terrorizing my village or whatever, and you realize, oh, that's a this. Yeah, I'm leaving that for the next Witcher that's coming down the path. See you later. And then you just keep on going. Who wants to go? Anybody have one that they're just like, Crow, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the Kikimora. The way it looked just like kind of messed with me a little bit. And then also, I'm not a huge fan. Like, I like swimming, but I don't like fighting underwater.
Yeah.
The fear of mine. And so, yeah, I would not want to face the Kikimora.
But you got a potion. You got a potion for that, for the underwater thing. You have a potion that allows you to hold your breath longer. So
Yeah, but looking at that, like baby's head with the spiked needle teeth on a spider's body. Just, I'm not going to do that.
It's pretty freaky. Yeah, and some people just like spiders in general, just kind of like, ugh, they're just like, no.
I got a tattoo of one on my arm, but
well, there you go.
I'm also not terribly fond of them.
Okay. Cool. All right. Kikimora. Who else wants to go next? Mage Mama?
So was the Kikimora, was that the monster that pops out in the anime, the Nightmare of the Wolf, when
the Kikimora is the very opening scene of season one.
Yeah.
Right.
The big
I'm trying to think of what was the monster that came out of the water, when they're all asleep and then they sort of like wake up in the woods, and it's supposed to be one of their tests, which
there were a bunch of ghouls, if I recall.
I think they were like ghouls or drowners or something.
Are you talking about the one that just teleported up to him and like exploded the children?
Yes, that's the one.
That's a wraith.
So that's right.
It's a weird wraith, but it's a wraith.
Yeah, that one's weird.
Okay. Yeah, that would be the one I would know about. Sorry. If I'm just going to explode into like a pile of gore, I'm going to go with hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
Understandable.
All right.
Understandable.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Toasty and I talked about that when we talked about that episode, how that some of those monsters were just like absolutely ridiculous. Like just like some of the stuff they did was just like, are you kidding? Like nobody would survive that. There's just no way. But yeah, that's pretty nuts. I agree. All right, Ben, what do you think? I know you are a Witcher extraordinaire, but if you had to choose one that you were just like,
had to choose.
all right, this one either it just seems like too much work, it's too hard, or it's just really, really creepy, and I just don't want to have to deal with it.
If I had to choose, I would agree with Mage Mama with the wraiths. Those were the wraiths in the Netflix cinematic is like, okay, that's too OP. They shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, in the anime
film. Yeah, it's just like, what? No, I don't want them teleporting my body and just spontaneous explode. That doesn't even give you a fighting chance whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, that just doesn't even. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Bane?
The Bruxa.
Yeah.
I couldn't fight the Bruxa. I really couldn't. I think she's too sentient. She plays too much on the heartstrings for cause hesitation. For I couldn't really effectively fight her. I really couldn't because from season 2, you don't really see her do anything wrong, and then what she was doing, she had arranged with Nivellen.
Mm-hmm.
So
massacring like a group of 4 people, is it wrong?
But you don't see it.
Yeah, well, yeah. They pieced together that it's her, but they didn't witness it.
Yeah,
right.
but the way she interacted with everybody else, and so long as she was contained, I couldn't do it. I'd say, nope. I will send someone else. I've got this guy I can call real quick.
I'm just going to call Lambert. Lambert, you go take care of this.
Lambert's got this attitude. He's perfect.
Yeah, Lambert, you'll be fine. Go take care of this one for me. You can keep 100% of the pay. Just you do it.
Well, I get a finder's fee. That's important. I got the finder's fee.
All right. 10% off the top. Cool. Toasty, what do you think? We haven't really chatted much on this one. Do you have like a monster you want to fight, monster that you keep away from?
For fighting, just like, I feel like I would want to fight. One, I kind of want to fight all of them, but I think the Leshy, just because it's so iconic. It's so iconic for like the Witcher universe, to be able to fight one of those. As for one that I don't want to fight, I'm not Geralt, unfortunately. I don't know, like just that the Chernobog was just such a weird thing. Like I don't because you wouldn't get the term like Chernobog. Somebody would describe this Witcher contract and they'd be like, it's like 12, 15 feet tall. I don't even know how tall it was, but it was like 15 feet tall. It's got wings. It's made out of stellacite, and it's like, nah, I don't know about that. But this big flying rock monster. Someone else can have it. I don't want to do that. Okay. I'm not going to just solo this thing like Geralt does in like a blink. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. The monster or monsters that I would least want to fight would be like a group of like the ghouls at the end of the first season. Like when those things come out and like, it doesn't take long for him to like lose his sword. And then he's having to like go at him with his hands, and they're dangerous enough that one bite like almost kills him. Like that's rough. That's rough. Taking on a group of those things, like, and if you get disarmed and you can't keep them at an arm's length and one gets on you, and they were fast. Like these weren't like stalky, slow zombie kind of monsters. These things were just like coming out of the ground and out of the woods and just like, that's
flashback to the squirrels, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, if you can't take on 10 squirrels with your fists, I definitely couldn't take on 10 of those things with a sword. Like, that sounds rough. Well, guys, we're getting to the end of the show. Thank you for joining me. This has been super fun. We're going to go back through, and I would love to hear if you guys have any cool projects you're working on, things that you want to shout out, or ways that people can get a hold of you. I know all of you guys are on the Discord, so they can reach out to you on the Discord. But if you want to shout out, say, your Twitter account or something else, you can do that as well. Let's just go back through, and we're just going to start with Ben again. Ben, you got anything cool going on you want to share?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this on the Elder Scrolls Lorecast a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. I'm in Ohio, so we have our Ohio anime convention coming up here in the next couple weeks. I will be cosplaying as my character again as Benetamaria, like I did at the Renaissance Fair last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, with your whole outfit and your swords and everything. Very cool.
Be posting pictures and everything. Last time I went to this convention, I saw a series, I saw two of the mages. I can't remember the top of my head who they were. And then I saw a Geralt. So people dress up as Witcher stuff at this convention. So I'm excited.
Nice.
And then you can reach me at Twitter and Twitch, Benetamaria, just like on Discord.
Cool. All right. Crow?
Currently kind of similar because I got inspired by Ben putting together some more medieval armor so that there's a Renaissance fair that happens about an hour away from where I'm at right now, and I want to go there as my Witcher, Crow. Side note, other than that, I'm in school currently trying to get the instrument rating on my pilot's license.
Oh, nice.
And then I don't really have a lot of social media, but I am on the Discord as Crow of Bellin. So
very cool. Well, good luck with all that. That sounds awesome. Mage Mama, what do you got going on?
Nothing special. Just wanted to say thanks for including me in this. It's been super fun.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us. It's been great having having a mage's perspective with a bunch of Witchers. Yeah, awesome. And then Bane, you got anything cool going on?
Not really, just working a lot. Anybody has any questions about weaponry, both modern and medieval, I'm your guy. Apart from that, no, just hanging out.
Cool. Do you like study the stuff? Do you make things? What do you do with it?
I'm involved in HEMA, and I have a background as far as modern weaponry goes. But no, I don't make it. I study different techniques, different types, different manuals, different treatises and doctrines. Love the stuff. So anybody has any questions about it or how to get started, just hit me up on the Discord.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think I talked about it on some of the early episodes, watching shows like Forged and Fire and stuff like that was something I got into during this last year. And man, there's like geeking out about that kind of stuff and learning more about it is super cool. But yeah, awesome. Thank you everybody for joining us. Toasty, you got anything cool going on you want to share?
Nope, nothing cool at all.
Nothing cool at all.
Nothing cool.
I know you're going to be busy for the next few weeks. So, Toasty, you can reach us on the Witcher Lorecast Twitter account. Toasty's going to be kind of out for a little while doing Toasty things. So next week,
a couple contracts, a couple side quests I got to clear up.
He's got some side quests. So next week we would normally be doing the show on Monday night. That show we've already pre-recorded, so we won't be able to live stream it, but it will still go up as usual on the audio platforms. We'll set that up ahead of time, but we'll be back in 2 weeks for the live show. 2 weeks from now. So that's what's coming up. And just after this show ends, stay tuned because in another 30 minutes or so, I will be back with the Cyberpunk Lorecast because we are talking about the Blade Runner movies with our patrons and the cyberpunk qualities of those, including the latest Blade Runner movie, and which I think is actually a better movie than the original, but a lot of people disagree with me on that.
Hot take, Tom. Hot take.
But I think it is. So I'll be back in about 30 minutes with that. So I'll close the stream down and start it back up when we get that going. And then after that, we've got the Mass Effect Lorecast. We got our Patreon episode. I'm doing 3 shows tonight. It's going to be a busy night. But all the other shows are on robotsradio.net if you're looking for that stuff. And of course, you can come join me any night of the week, any of the normal nights of the week other than Saturday nights for either podcasts or game streams on the nights that I'm not podcasting. So I'd love to have you come hang out with me, play some games and just hang out. And we also have a Minecraft server now for the Robots Radio community because I polled the community. I was like, hey, we need a world where we can just kind of have a persistent world and do stuff in. Pulled them. I was like, hey, these are some of the games we could play. And most of the people said, let's do Minecraft. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I forked out the cash. We've got a Minecraft server and a bunch of people building some really awesome stuff. And we're going to have fun little events and stuff. So if you want to play Minecraft with us, it's the info's on the Discord. There's a channel on there and we'd love to have you join us. So that's what we got going on. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Thank you, chat, for being here. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. And Toasty,
stay safe on the path.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.